What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take DFS podcast. I'm your host, Patio Joe. You can follow me at Twitter at Patio Joe Ref. And I'm joined here once again for breaking down everything week 11 by my man, Paulie D. You can follow him up at Twitter at Paulie, 8 D's behind that. Mr. Paulie D. How's it going, my man?
It's going good, bro. This football season's just been awesome. We're only halfway through it. I love that we got the extra game. And, I feel like we haven't had a year like this in a while where we have so much parity. I think there's a valid case to be made for, 4 to 5 teams from each conference that could, win the Super Bowl. That makes for a really fun playoffs and end of the season. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I feel like when we're coming down to the playoffs, it's almost going to be who's the healthiest at the right time and who can make the hot run for a month and a half, who gets that safe, bye, that number 1 seed bye. Anyways, yeah, you see me here. I'm decked out. I got the Trojan gold cardinal. I got the UCLA blue and gold. The crosstown rivalry this year. Both teams suck, but I will be in attendance on Saturday watching it. It's football. I'm away from the family, so I could care less. Even if it's 2 bad college football teams, the stands will be packed. There'll be co-eds in the stands to look at. There'll be nice food. I'm good. I'm fine. I'm having a good time. So, anyways, I'm ready to hit up this week 11. But first, I can't not tell the nation of the hot streak that I am still on. After last week, I am now 9-1 in cash games. Let me break it down to you, Paul. I was texting you guys. I was actually probably about the 80th, 75, 80th going into the second half of the later games on Sunday. And in a span of 5 minutes, I got a TD from the Eagles defense, from James Conner, and from Dalvin Cook. And I went from 80th percentile up into the top 15% in every one of my cash games. Smashed after that. The big one was the Eagles defense getting that return fumble that Mr. Bridgewater didn't want to tackle the guy for.
That was great.
So, but that just is to show everybody, and I tweeted it on Monday. I'm like, guys, you got to wait till the game's end. Before you don't know, I thought probably might not have done it, but it was funny, the way that the builds were. I didn't go too low end, which everybody went Ingram and Dearness with one high end option. I went one high end, I went middle with Connor, and then I went with Dearness. And it allowed me to go with Adams, allowed me to go with Evans and stuff, and my lineup smashed again. And it was cool. It was good because I switched on Sunday morning just a little bit, kind of because there was the Big Ben news and stuff. I kind of moved I had Freiermuth as my tight end. I moved to Arnold, and I did that. And what's nice is that if I would have left the lineup the way it was, I still would have cashed. So I was on all the plays. Everything in the article is just going well. Guys, you got to sign up. Cash games are going in. And I've been making money because I'm putting so much more of my bankroll on the cash games and doing so little on GVPs. And that's how you do it. A lot of times what people do is they always say, pay your cash games and then enough to make up your GVPs and then you break even. Well, do you want to play a whole NFL season with breaking even? I don't. I know right now my bankroll is almost $1,000 more than it was when the season started. That's good feelings,
Yeah, it's an awesome run, man. Nine weeks in a row, banging out, cash games. That's a sweet run, and you've done similar runs like that. You really have it kind of locked down. And when you told me, that you won again last week, I did some quick math. If I would have invested $500 a week and just played, I would have won the first week, lost the second, and then doubled my money every week since week 3. I'd be up to $64,000. 500 to 1,000. It would have been amazing. But that's awesome. Keep it up. It was a weird week though. Those chalk value running backs ended up being the best plays outside of a couple. And I had a terrible week because of that. Whenever like that chalk just crushes, it's gonna be bad for me. Just I felt good about it. Dearness really didn't do that great till he finally got that touchdown in the end. I didn't think like that, 22 points was going to be enough by any stretch, but just nobody else put up good games except for other value plays like Stevenson from New England. Jonathan Taylor posted a decent game. You could have found a way to get him with those value plays. And a lot of like the expensive receivers I was on, the Green Bay, Seattle game just completely dudded. Diggs I was on, I caught that. But other than that, like a lot of the things I was on just, didn't go off. They did decent. Like I liked Zeke. He was great. He was low on leverage, but he just got like a 20, like low scoring week. And those chalk plays just did good enough that you needed them in tournaments to really do well.
Yeah, I get it. So this week, we got one game I think that one site is just begging you to play in the Dallas KC game, which it's a 56. It's gone up a point. I can completely understand why everybody's going to go there. I will go there. I know I will have some of that. Definitely, there's just too many good prices on FanDuel, and we'll get into that. On DK, it's a little bit different, but there's some other good games I think we can go to. I think the Bills might be pushed enough to where they just got to keep up their offense for 4 quarters and keep going. Green Bay, Minnesota could have some fireworks, especially because it's in Minnesota in the Dome. There's not going to be weather. I also like I like the Bengals and the Raiders as a sneaky shootout game, even though that's gone down a half a point and stuff. All the other games I think are just, you might want bits and pieces of it, but I really don't see any of them shooting out. I guess the one that could be really sneaky, even though it's down 4.5 points since it's opened, would be New Orleans at Philly. I could see that maybe being a breakout, but I don't know how many people are going to go there. I really think it's going to be very top heavy this week with those games up at the top. What do you think, Paulie?
I think like from like a micro perspective, yeah, like, those are games you're going to want, but there's a lot of games this week, 12 games, that, like certain situations are going to like attract ownership. And I think ultimately the ownership isn't going to be like that one side. I think it'll end up kind of spread out. Like the initial projections aren't really favoring any of these games that much. There's just certain plays in certain games right now that are projecting as very popular. And, I'm happy about that because I do think that Dallas KC game is just going to be an absolute, shootout to the moon. But you're right. There are, 3 games that could easily be, candidates to outscore it, to be better for DFS. And then the cheap sneaky game that I like, and not cheap, but like lower total sneaky game is the Jets Dolphins. Like both those defenses are terrible. They both have some pretty good young talent on offense that have been kind of playing better lately. Division rival. I wouldn't be shocked if that game kind of shot out. A lot of players are cheap, low owned. Like mixing that with some of the chalk could be interesting. But I'm gonna have lineups with like 6 people from the Chiefs game if I can make that work.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's get into it. On DraftKings, we're gonna start on DraftKings. We're gonna build a line on DraftKings like we do, and we go to FanDuel. Obviously, on DraftKings, do we want to? I mean, on FanDuel, I want to attack that game that Casey dominated dominantly. Mm-hmm. What do we want to do on DK? Do we want to go a different way?
So first off, do you know who's projecting as the highest owned quarterback on DraftKings?
Not off the top of my head. I would think
Cam Newton, 5-1.
He's on FanDuel. He's priced up to 7,500.
I saw that.
He's out of range on that. It's kind of weird. I feel like he didn't even play the full set of snaps last week. So it's kind of like fluky that he got all that too, sort of. So I don't know if he's worth it on.
Well, he's expected to start this week. He only played like, I don't know how many snaps, but maybe like 5, I think. Like not many. He just happened to get a rushing touchdown and a passing touchdown on the goal line on 2 of the few plays he did. But he's expected to start this week. It's against Washington. He's cheap. I want nothing to do with it. I just wanted to put that out there that's looking like the cash game chalk quarterback. I'll gladly play Patrick Mahomes and, expect to outscore him by about 15, 20 points. I mean, I really do like Mahomes. I do like Dak. I think we should just put Mahomes in and see like how the builds are. I haven't really built many lineups yet, so I'm kind of curious to see what we can make work. Like,
I mean, it's a $400 difference. I think on FanDuel, Mahomes is less than Dak. So on FanDuel, I like Mahomes better. But Dak has been just as good.
Awesome.
So let's do that. Let's do Mahomes right now, and then we can move down 400 if we need to save, which we probably will.
Here's like my quick thought on that, though. Like, Dallas has actually been decent against the run, and the Chiefs have just been god awful. Like, Zeke scored 2 touchdowns last week. Like, the Chiefs threw 5 touchdowns. Like, I just feel like the Chiefs' touchdowns are so much more likely to come through the air. But they're both phenomenal plays. But if I had to choose one, I was building one lineup, like a live final or something. Right now, I'd say I'd go Mahomes.
All right. Wide receiver. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is an obvious bring back. I don't mind. I mean, it's obvious the pair or him and Kelsey, which is 7,100. Which one do you prefer? Because we probably couldn't have both.
So I prefer Kelsey. I think the Cowboys are just god awful against tight ends. Like Kyle Pitts, came out the gates soaring in that game, and then the Falcons fell apart. I think they're both phenomenal plays, and they both end up doing well. But the Cowboys have a stud corner that could do some shadowing on Tyreek. Like, I think Kelsey's just so secure, and he's cheap too. Like the 71 price on DraftKings is nice. So I'd say Kelsey for this, for this lineup, and I do think like, the running back from the Chiefs, Williams, or even a stab at the cheap receiver, well, Hardman in this game is fine as well. He's 4K. I like adding that cheap extra piece, but for right now, it's just Kelsey.
All right. And then for the Cowboys to bring back, let me read you a stat. The Chiefs play the 7th most man coverage in the NFL. CeeDee Lamb has 223 yards and 6 touchdowns against man coverage this year. Also, on this other side, Amari Cooper has a 28% target share against man coverage this year from Dak. He's being thrown to more, but yet CeeDee Lamb has more numbers. So which one of those do we want? CeeDee Lamb 76, Cooper is only 62. That's a $1,400 difference.
If we're talking receiver, like definitely CeeDee Lamb. I strongly think Zeke and CeeDee Lamb are like the ones I'd be choosing between or trying to get both of.
All right. So why don't we put CeeDee Lamb and Zeke in the lineup and see what we can go from there?
Okay.
Going for a little bit of value. If we put all those 4 players in there, that gives us 4,000 left for the rest of our team, just to let you know that. So we're going to really find value. One value piece is, and I think he's going to be chalky if it happens, is Elijah Mitchell broke his finger on Monday night's game. He has a pin put in on Tuesday. Now, Mr. Shanahan, who you can't depend on at all, says that he may play on Sunday. If he doesn't, we have Jeffrey Wilson Jr. at 5,100 on DK as a value. Now on FanDuel, he's way more affordable. Like you think Wilson was would be a little bit cheaper at 5,100. After what? We need obviously some major value for this lineup to work at all. Let's start off with defense. Where would we want to go with the defense on this? We could go with the Jets at 2,300 at home against Miami. I feel like they're just as Miami is an offense that was not going to put up 40 points, and they're going to get some sacks. They're going to get some, something. They'll probably still lose the game. Still against San Francisco, but I think the Jets are the way to go.
I like the Jets for sure.
It frees up some money too, so
yeah,
300.
I don't mind the Redskins for 100 more, but yeah, let's do the Jets. That's fine. I like that.
All right, little nod to CK in the back. We're playing our jet guy.
That's right. That's right.
So we need some more value here.
Yeah. We're gonna put a tight end in the flex, cheap one. How do you feel about Cole Kmet, who's projecting to be popular? He's 3-4.
Yeah, I like it. 3-4. Cole Kmet. We'll turn it in. That's going to give us almost $5,000 a player. There's some good.
I'm back. We are back.
There's some good wide receiver values. I don't mind. I feel like maybe a guy like from the Saints, Deontay Harris.
I love Deontay Harris.
Maybe the big play receiver, but yet, he's getting a lot of targets too. Last week wasn't too much, but I like that.
How about Tyler Boyd? A piece of that Bengals-Raiders game. You got to like the pass game for the Bengals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or T. Higgins is, 5'3"?
He's probably too expensive.
5'4".
We have your boy. If you wanted to do it, we could, at 4K, we could put in Hardman.
Yeah, I like that. I do like Hardman. I really do.
All right. Then that leaves us with 5,150 with two spots, a running back and a receiver.
Okay. Running back, there's definitely some cheap options. Like, they're not pretty, but like a Deontay Foreman against Houston, he seems to be getting more of that role for the Titans. Clutch passes.
Nichols this week.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that a lot, actually.
If I think he's gonna play, but if Kamara were to miss, you got Ingram again.
Mm-hmm.
David Montgomery's back. That's a tough matchup against Baltimore, but not as tough as perceived, and he's 5'5".
Let me ask you this. Game script wise, Indy's going to be down. This is a Nyheim Hines week.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good call.
I get 4,300.
Yeah, I love that, actually. I really do.
If we click him in there at 4,300, that gives us 6K for a receiver. That would give us some good receivers with some high upside.
Mm-hmm.
We have a safe option with a Hunter Renfrow, who's just been lock solid. We have DJ Moore in a plus matchup against a terrible Washington defense in secondary, especially.
Mm-hmm.
You have the
Tyler Lockett.
Tyler Lockett could obviously break the slate. He has that type of thing. And then we have Miami and the Jets with Waddle.
Yep.
Or we could go back to T. Higgins, 5,400, then boost up from the Jets from the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Pick us a receiver here, Paulie. Where do you want to go?
I say we take, Brandon Cooks is in a really good spot too. Tennessee's terrible against the pass. But the one thing about Hunter Renfrow, Deshaun Jackson's over there. He did get involved a tad last week. He could eat into some of that target share. But give me Tyler Lockett. He had a 0 last week. Russell Wilson's worst game ever. You know, now they're going to be at home against Arizona, a game they really need to win. They might be getting Arizona at the right time. Arizona's defense, especially against pass, has not impressed me. I see Lockett bouncing back.
All right, so that's going to do it for our DraftKings team. Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. Our running backs are going to be Ezekiel Elliott and Nyheim Hines. Wide receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Hardman, Tyler Lockett. Tight end, Kelsey. In the flex, we're going to go with Cole Kmet. And our defensive special teams is the Jets.
Quick note. Tyler Lockett last year against Arizona, 24 catches, 267 yards, and 4 touchdowns.
Nice. What did he do in the first? Have they played already, or they haven't? I don't think they've played yet this year.
No, they haven't.
Okay, so that's a spot that we got to look into more, and I think hopefully people don't, really notice that, and he goes the radar. All right, so that's going to be our lineup. Let's move on to FanDuel. On FanDuel here, like I said, Patrick Mahomes is $100 less than Dak, and I can't pass that up. Like, I almost feel like starting with the same that we did with Mahomes and Kelsey at 7,300 is just too cheap. And I'm not even a guy that has played Kelsey that much this year. Like, when people are like, just play him, he's a safest, yes, but he's always been too much
expensive.
8,400, 85. Like, he's 7,300. Mark Andrews is 7,000. George Kittle's 6,800. Like, I'm just gonna take Kelsey, the pretty much safest option. And you could tell, like, they got him totally involved in the offense. He seemed healthy, and he just blew up last week. And Dallas cannot.
He's terrible against tight ends. Terrible.
So to me, it's just a no-brainer. Lock them in. That's what we're gonna do. On the other side, I don't mind going down to defense right now, just kind of locking into defense, kind of seeing where we got. I don't mind going the Jacksonville Jaguars at 3,400 against San Francisco, making Garoppolo beat you. The Bills went into Jacksonville 2 weeks ago and put up 9 points.
Yeah. So I gotta say, like, I really think the Redskins defense is coming around, and Carolina with Cam Newton, like, in his noodle arm, I think that's a really good opportunity for, like, upside.
All right. It don't matter. 35, 34, it's the same. It doesn't really matter at this point. We just need it as low as possible. Running backs a little bit different on FanDuel. I think the pricing, I think we could fit in one. We don't have to go with Zeke. I feel like there's other running backs in a good spot. Dalvin Cook last year, I think he had 3 or 4 touchdowns against these same Packers in the defense, and the Packers have slowed quarterbacks the last 3-4 weeks who they've played. They've definitely slowed them down and made them one-dimensional. They played, 3 weeks ago, they played Arizona, Kyler Murray. That's where he kind of tweaked his ankle at the end. Kyler Murray did not look good. 2 weeks ago, they played Mahomes. Mahomes did not look very good. And then they played
Seattle
last week, and Russ doesn't look like he was healthy, at the very least. So, and that's being nice.
Yeah.
So I don't mind. Obviously Dalvin Cook I was totally on him last week. I like him this week in this game. I also think that AJ Dillon
AJ Dillon, that he's going to be chalk on DraftKings
and FanDuel
at 7K. Like, do you like the spot? Do you plan to play him? What's your thoughts on that?
I think that he's going to gain the steam by the end of the week that everybody's going to want to play him, and I think he's in a good matchup. I think the volume alone, he's probably going to make value. He's going to get a couple targets now too. The guy that I think might go a little bit under the radar just because of Dylan being there is James Conner at 7,200 on FanDuel.
He's in a phenomenal spot.
Exactly. Like Seattle, you can run on Seattle. Like people forget, like we were picking on Seattle at the beginning of the year, and they had a couple matchups where they didn't really have, much going on. They did okay, but it was nothing that like to write home about. Yep. So
I'm glad you brought that up. I really liked it. I really like James Conner.
Yeah. So what I want to do is with one of the running back positions, I'm going to assume that Eli Mitchell isn't playing. So I want to lock in at 5,000 Jeffrey Wilson Jr. I mean, he's priced below Trey Sermon, who hasn't suited up in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, and we've seen him have like a nose for the end zone. Like, he started a couple games, and then done well. He's done well in games he hasn't started, but last year he started the last 2 games of the year, went 22 carries for $183 against Arizona, 20 carries for 76 and a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown against Seattle. He was hurt to start the year, but this kid's good. He's really good. He had a 3 touchdown game against New England last year. Absolutely. If he's gonna get the lion's share of the work, sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it. On DK, he's a little bit priced up, but at 5K on FanDuel, he's like an auto lock. I mean, let me put it this way. He's priced below where Dearness was last week. Dearness was 54, and Ingram was 55. And they were mega chalk. So if Mitchell's out, he's gonna be more than Dylan.
Agreed.
In the end, if Mitchell's out, he will get more run in the end than Dylan, at least ownership wise. Moving on to receiver, to me, I mean, we got look at this. We put in 4 players right now. We still have 7,100 per player. Wow. So we could if we wanted to, we could lock in Hill and CeeDee Lamb and see where we're going from there. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's still, if we put in Hill and CeeDee Lamb, that still leaves us with basically 6,500 for 3 players. We could pay up at another running back. We could put in somebody like Connor, who could have a running back 1 week and you don't have to pay for 9K or 10K.
Oh yeah, I think we should definitely put Connor in the lineup.
Okay,
phenomenal spot.
Let's do that. Now we're down to 6,100 in 2 spots. We got receiver and then a flex. So we kind of want to let's try and get as value of a receiver as we can get. Let me search what we got here.
I mean, real quick, I think you want to try to get a piece of either the Colts, Bills, or the Bengals, Raiders, the value receivers. It's not Jamar Chase, it's not Stephon Diggs, but those other 4 receivers are very cheap and certainly capable of going off against those opponents. Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Emmanuel Sanders, or Cole Beasley. Take your pick.
Let me see here. I mean, I would prefer the one guy that I like. He's a little bit too expensive on FanDuel at 6,500. I like T. Higgins, just because he's the one that gets all the targets, but Jamar Chase gets all the run and the sidelights. But Higgins got all the targets. But Boyd is the type of guy that is 5,600. He's been doing shit. I mean, obviously he's been doing nothing. I mean, his last game, he got 2 targets, 1 reception for 11 yards. Against the Jets, he was 5 for 69 and a touchdown. If he did that at 5,600, we'd love it. So I'm good with locking in Boyd. That gives us 6,600 for flex. And, actually that kind of leaves us either a guy like, Renfro, or we could switch it to where T. Higgins is 6,600, and then we have 5,600 for flex. Guy that we might want to do a standalone at 6,600, Devonta Smith. We've seen the last few weeks blowing up, playing against New Orleans.
We've been terrible against number one receivers.
You can pass against them. I don't mind that. That's where I think I'm good going there. Or we could go the full stack with Darrell Williams and just go with Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey, Williams, bring it back with CD. If we did that, I wouldn't mind switching Boyd to Gallup at 5,400, and then we really just play that game.
Yeah, and I think that's like a totally viable like approach for that game. What I would do is like come off Tyreek Hill. I think I'd keep Williams in as one of the running backs. He caught 9 balls last week. Like that's, I think, going to be like a big part of their game going forward is like the check down, like, you know, like dump offs to Williams, dump offs to Kelsey, and keep them on us up top with Tyreek Hill, you know, and then pivot down to a slightly cheaper receiver, and then pivot up from one of the cheap receivers we don't really like Deebo Samuel against Jacksonville. I really like, you know, I'm highly interested in that. A.J. Brown against Houston, I think, is a really good spot.
I think Brown's in a great spot because he's been doing absolutely dick the last 2 weeks. I mean, he's been god awful.
Yeah, and do you know if Julio's expected to play?
No, he's on IR.
Yeah, so like he's the only option they have. Houston's defense is terrible. Like 2 and 3 weeks ago, he had 11 and 11 targets, caught 10 for $155 against the Colts. Week before that, 8 for 133 and a touch. And last year against Houston, he went 10 for 151 and a touchdown. And it looks like 5 for 58 and 2 touchdowns. Like he dominated them. I like that.
All right. So if we lock in A.J. Brown, take off of Mr. Tyreek Hill, that leaves us with 7,200 for another receiver. Then our options are we can go back to Tyler Lockett, lock him in like we did in our other lineup. He's got more of a FanDuel vibe anyways.
Yeah. I do also like McLaurin against Carolina. You know, I have almost no respect for the Carolina defense. And I do think the Carolina offense is coming around with C-Mac healthy. They're at home. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if the Redskins trailed and threw to McLaurin a shit ton. But, you know, I prefer Lockett. I really like Tyler Lockett.
If do we want to leave the Washington defense, we could upgrade to Philly, who's at home against New Orleans.
Who's quarterbacking for New Orleans this weekend?
Simeon.
I got no problem doing that.
Yeah. Eagles, I think, lead the league in sacks, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the top teams in sacks.
Really?
Pressures. I could be wrong, but I know that was one of the reasons why I picked them against last week. I think
that's true.
You know, they had 6 sacks against the Lions until they went up against the Chargers, which they did nothing, but then they came back good against, you know, Denver. So, I mean, I really don't really care at that moment. I mean, I like our lineup as it is, and you guys can pay up for defense if you want. So here's our lineup as is. We got Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, Jeff Wilson and James Conner as our running backs. We have A.J. Brown, C.D. Lamb, and Tyler Lockett as our receivers. Our tight end is Travis Kelce. Flex position is Darrell Williams, and the defense is the Washington football team. So now we're going to move on to our Vegas insider lines. What do you think about this week, Paulie? I mean, do you think that, first of all, do you think the Dallas-Kansas City game goes over the 56 total?
Easily. I think we see over 80 points.
All right. All right. I'm going to take, I'm a little bit, I want to be a little bit off the grid. I don't want to try and, that's the easy one, we're taking Buffalo -7, I think is easy too. I like Minnesota and the points. They're 2.5-point underdogs at home.
Interesting.
Against Green Bay with no Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I mean, I think that game will be close for sure. I would certainly want to get at least 3, but I can't argue with it. I don't agree, but I don't have a strong feeling.
Me, I'm not betting lines isn't my strong suit.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think San Francisco's getting hot. I think regardless of the running back health situation, I think that they take care of business against Jacksonville, even on the road. I think the Jets-Dolphins game goes way over. I think we see a lot of points scored there.
I got one for you. I'll give me 11.5 points, and I'll take the Lions.
I don't mind that.
11.5 points against Cleveland. Come on.
I agree.
If Chubb's going to play and then Goff is out, okay, maybe that's a little bit changes things. But right now, if you gave me 11.5 points, I'll take that.
For sure. And I'll take the Redskins straight up to win outright against Carolina. Cam Newton's washed, and I think the Redskins, their defense is kind of peaking at the right time. They're going to give them trouble. And I guess that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it. All right. That's going to do it for the Wise Take DFS podcast. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. Be sure to join the nation. Get in on it. 9-1 in cash. Paulie D comes out with his GPP article. We got CK and his core going out. CK is going to a wedding on a Thursday. He's working. That's why he's not here tonight. So, we're always in the lab trying to do better for the nation. So, guys, be sure to check us out. Be sure to looking for my article coming up on Saturday, sometime in the afternoon, maybe early evening, because I am going to the USC-UCLA game on Saturday, so I hope to have it out before then, but you know how it is with kids and stuff. So that being said, obviously we'll have way more of our fingers on the pulse because there's going to be a huge injury news that will come out, and things will kind of just all be clear by the time Sunday slate goes. So my man Paulie D, I'm Patio Joe, and for CK says in the back,